Cryptocurrency margin or leverage trading tutorial part 2. This video is part 2 of my leverage trading mini-series. In this video I'm going to explain in a bit more detail the difference between cross and margin leverage. I'm going to explain how you can actually open long and short positions on exchanges. And in the last part I'm going to explain all the different advanced order types that can help you manage your positions. So I'm going to go over the usual disclaimers. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Any information spoken or written should not be interpreted as financial advice. Carry out your own independent verification of facts and data. Don't just take my word for anything. I am not a financial advisor. I do not hold any relevant qualifications. If you seek financial advice, speak to a professional. And finally, trading is an extremely risky activity. Your trades are your responsibility, so trade at your own risk. Let's start with a quick recap of everything we covered in the previous video. If you need more information on any of these topics, make sure you watch the previous video before continuing with this one. Selecting the right cryptocurrency exchange. I explained all the reasons why I choose Phemex as my preferred exchange. If you're interested in signing up with them, you can do so by using the link in the video description. Then I went over the prerequisites to margin and leverage trading. You should already have a thorough understanding of technical analysis, system development, risk management, and trade psychology. You should also understand the exchange you are using and the product you are trading. Then we went over the product itself. Make sure you understand if you are trading a derivative or the actual product itself. Make sure you understand any fees or funding costs involved as well. Finally, we covered what I believe are the correct ways to use margin and leverage, which is to mitigate exchange risk or allow you to increase position size while keeping your risk per position the same. Cross versus margin leverage. This is something a lot of people struggle with and a question I get asked all the time. It's actually very simple. Let's remind ourselves the definitions of margin and leverage. Margin is the capital pledged as security. It's your collateral. It's the money you have at risk. Leverage is your buying power multiple. Now, taking a look on the actual exchange, if you go over to the left side, you'll find this leverage meter. You can quickly set it to a fixed amount, which could be 1, 2, 3, or any of the amounts listed here. By simply clicking on them, the leverage will be automatically adjusted to that. You can also manually enter how much leverage you want to use, for example, 2.65. I click and my leverage would get set to that. So this is fixed leverage, and the other way we can set our leverage is cross by clicking on this. Now I'm going to present two examples to explain the difference between these two types of leverage. Okay, so example 1. Assume your account balance is $1,000 and your position size, which you're trying to open, be it long or short, is $1,500. Now, if you have a fixed leverage, say you set it manually at 10x leverage, you will use $150 as margin, which is just 150 times 10. So the amount of capital you put at risk to open a $1,500 position is $150. Now, if we were using cross leverage, our leverage would have automatically been set at 1.5x using our entire account as margin. And that is, in essence, the difference between the two types of margin. With fixed leverage, you decide how much leverage you want to use. With cross leverage, it automatically uses your entire account as margin. Now I'm going to present one more example in case you haven't fully understood the difference yet. In example 2, our account balance is going to be $1,000 again, and the position size we're trying to open is going to be $500. With 10x leverage, we would use $50 as margin. However, if we were using cross leverage, we would automatically use 1x leverage with $500 as our margin, because we can use our entire account to open the position. Hopefully now you understand the difference. Cross leverage can be helpful because you don't need to think about how much leverage you need to use and it's automatically set for you. The downside is if you're not using a stop loss, you risk losing your entire account. Whereas when you're using a fixed amount of leverage, you can control how much margin you use. For most traders, it's not going to make a huge difference because they will be using a stop loss and never reach their liquidation price. So now I'm going to explain how to open a buy or long position and how to open a sell or short position. Once your leverage is set over here, you can place a limit market, or conditional order. Once you've input your values for the type of order you want to create, you simply click the buy long or sell short button. For this example, I'm just going to market execute, and I'll explain all the order types momentarily. So we're opening a long position. You can see the option to place a take profit and stop losses come up. I will explain this later, not right now. So as you can see, a position has now been opened. I'm using cross leverage and it's automatically set me at 22x. Taking a look here, we can see my symbol, BTC USD, size. This is the size of my position in USD value. This is the BTC value of my position. This is my entry price. Given I market executed my order, it's useful to know at what price it was entered. This will give you the average in case you got multiple entries. Mark price, you should remember this from the last video. This is extremely important because it determines your liquidation. Next, we have our liquidation price. When the mark price reaches the liquidation price, our account will be liquidated to cover our losses. Margin. This is how much of our account is at risk. Right now, this account has about $1.5 on it. It is a testnet account, and the margin being used is $0.36. So the entire account is not at risk, but because we are using cross leverage, this will continuously change to make sure our position doesn't get liquidated until the entire account is lost. Unrealized profit and loss is how much our position is worth if we were to close it right now. Realized is how much profit we've made so far. So given I market executed, I have to pay a fee to open this order. So this order is immediately at a loss. If I were to place a limit order, then we would start in profit because we get a rebate for providing liquidity. Finally, we can instantly close the position with a limit order or a market order here, and we can also set stop losses and take profits over here, which I will explain in the next part. So I'm now going to close this position and move on to the next part of the lesson. So I'm now going to cover in a bit more detail every order type available on the exchange. So now I'm going to cover every order type we have available, and I'm going to explain what all these things means, like post only, reduced only, the difference between limit, market, conditionals. We're not going to do this in a lecture slide format. I'm just going to slowly go through everything. So obviously, buy creates a long position, sell creates a short position. Now, normally, whenever I can, I will try to use a limit order. This could be for entry, this could be for exit. It's always beneficial because it is a lot cheaper. Now, to create a limit order, we simply select the price we want to enter in. So let's zoom into the chart here. And if we take a look, a nice entry level would be, let's say, 9133.5. So 9133.5, that is our entry. And as for quantity, we'll open a $10 position. So we're going to buy at this level. Now we can see an option for a take profit and a stop loss has come up. So confirm, and then we can see our position has opened up on the exchange over here. We can manually adjust our entry by simply dragging it down or dragging it up. We can also see our position right now as an order under active orders. So I'm going to cancel this now. And our position is cancelled. To open a sell position, we do the exact same thing. So you can see we have a few options over here. One says post only, one says reduce only, and one says good till cancel. Poster only can be extremely useful when we're trying to get a position filled, but we want to avoid a market entry. If we have a system that is only profitable when fees are minimized, then this is very useful. When we click post only, the position will be filled as a limit order, or it will not be filled at all. So if I click 9,210 as my entry price, and I try to buy here using post only, you can see that my position has immediately been cancelled because it could only be executed as a market order and a limit order could not be carried out. Now, a reduce only position is very useful when you want to set a stop loss and a take profit simultaneously. Let me show you an example. So if we're trying to open a long position over here, so our entry will be, we'll actually use a market price for entry again. So we'll buy at whatever value we can get. Okay, so our position should open. Here we are. Our position is now opened. Now to set a take profit and stop loss at the same time, so I can use this tool here. Now I can use this to set a stop loss. I'll set an arbitrary price over here. Now I'm going to drag this down to make sure we're not stopped out while I'm presenting this example. So there's our stop loss. And now I want to set a take profit. So if I set my take profit at say 9,500, I'd use a limit order to set it at 9,500. Now, if I set up my limit order and get stopped out, then the price goes back up there. It would automatically put me into a short position because I would lose all my buys and go negative. But if I want to make sure that it only closes this position out, I would click reduce only. That means it will either sell this current position, but it will not open a new one. So it can be very useful for a take profit because once I get stopped out, it is no longer applicable, and vice versa. Once this take profit has been hit, I will no longer be stopped out over here. So now I have my reduce only order over there, and a position has been opened. Close that. And a position has been opened. I will either take my profit or get stopped out, and I don't have to watch this position anymore. Now, while I'm explaining this, I'm also going to explain the other extremely useful feature, which is a trailing stop loss. Now, trailing stop losses can be used to take profit and minimize losses. So select an activation price. So say instead of a flat area when I want to take profit, I think after this level, Bitcoin is going to fly up and I want to catch as much of the move as possible. Let's look at this level. That's 9,300. So I will set my activation price on the trailing stop loss at 9,300. Once that is hit, I want it to trail by $100. So once this level is hit, my stop loss will start following the price. So whenever it retraces $100, I will take profit. And that's extremely useful, and not a lot of exchanges actually offer this. Now let's close these out. So good till cancel means your order will stay until you manually cancel it or it gets filled. Immediate or cancel is quite useful. It means once your order is hit, if it is not completely filled, it will then be cancelled. So if I set a limit order for say $10 and only $2 of that is filled, then the remaining $8 will then be cancelled and I will be left with a $2 position. If I click fill or kill, it means that either the entire $10 of the position I set gets filled up instantly, or it does not get filled at all. While these are useful, 90% of traders will be normally using good till cancel. With regards to market orders, there's not much to be said. You simply execute a buy or sell at whatever value the market will give you. Now, if we take a look at conditional orders, they're very similar to market or limit orders, except they have a trigger price, which can provide us with more flexibility on how we set our orders, and it can be very useful for stop losses. So the trigger price is simply the price at which this order activates. The triggered buy option, you can use last price or mark price. If you're using a stop loss, probably want to be using mark price to make sure you're not liquidated before you're stopped out. This is very important, so pay attention to this. Now, everything else we see here is very similar to setting up a normal limit order, and close on trigger is pretty much exactly the same as reduce only. There's not much difference there. We have exactly the same things down here with good till cancel, immediate or cancel, fill or kill. And the final thing you need to know is you can click on market, and then it's the exact same thing, except instead of opening a limit order at your trigger price, it automatically executes a market order. And with that, we have covered pretty much all the order types. So that's everything I wanted to cover in this video. I'm quite curious to see how many people actually make it to the end of these videos. So if you have made it this far, comment your favorite color down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.